be learning more about VB scripting. Okay. So today, what we're going to do, and say first, what we did in our notepad, we wrote a message box, right? So I'm going to use the same thing, MSGBOX, and I'm going to give a space. I'm going to say see here. Now if I run this, just give OK. If I run this, it's going to give me the same pop-up window or the alert dialog box or window that we saw when we ran with Notepad. It's going to give me the same thing. So whatever you can do in the Notepad, you also can run it through the tool. So the tool literally executes anything that is in VBScript. Okay. Now, today we are going to see a concept called variables. That's a very, very important concept in QTP, okay, or VB scripting. The very most important concept is variables. Now, what is a variable? Any guess? Anyone knows what is a variable? Any guess?
Anything that constantly changes values, like it can take values, like you define a variable, right? X, Y.
Yes, anything that can constantly take multiple variables, values, or different values, not multiple values, different values, right? Correct, Karthik. Now, what is a variable? Let's go see what is a variable. Okay. Okay, today we are going to see, the first concept that we are going to see is variables. What is a variable? Variable is a block in the memory. The memory means that the value that you assign creates a block in the memory and is stored in the memory. Now this value, say example, if I say A equal to 5. Now what will happen? This 5 is stored in the memory here. Now when A, here A is the variable and 5 is called the value. Now why do we call this a variable? Because I can assign A equal to 10. Now when I say A equal to 10, this value goes off and it is replaced by the value 10. This I am talking in the memory block. In the memory block. Where is the memory block? Your RAM. That's what we are talking about. Okay. Now the value that you assign here, right? The value that you assign here into a variable goes and stores it into the memory. Now we can call, wherever I call the value A, it will call this value and replace the value of the variable A with this particular value. So now whenever I take a value, but you should understand that a variable can take only one value at a time. The variable can take only one value at a time. So that means I cannot put A equal to 5, 10. It cannot take this. It can only take A equal to 5. Then later when you give A equal to 10, this value is replaced with this value for the variable A. Now variable can be anything. I can even put Karthi as variable equal to 5, right? Or Shruti as variable, TH. Shruti as variable, whatever I want. There is no restriction on what you want to give here. right? But usually when we explain, we say A, B, C for a shorter term. The value also can be anything that you provide here. So let's take a quick look into how these variables work, right? Now I'm going to say A equal to 5. Now in other programming languages, we have to declare the value of A. We have to declare what is this variable. Say for example in Java programming language, right? I cannot use A equal to 5. It will fail. It doesn't know what is this A. So I have to say int A. So I have to say A value is going to take an integer. Now in this, there is no declaration in VB scripting. So how do you say what is the value of A? What value I'm going to take? There is no declaration. So we will say dim of A. That means it is a value, it's a variable that can take anything. This is how we declare. Now you don't declare this also, it will still work. I'll show you this. Now I'm saying MSG box, instead of printing whatever I want, if you put it in double quotes, whatever you want, it will print. Now I want to print this variable, so I'm not putting it in double quotes. So I'll say message box space and the variable. Now if I click run here, what will happen? It was going to run from first line to here. I don't want to run all these code, right? I don't want to run all these things. Now what will I do? I will click on the line where I want to run, right click on that line, run from step. This will run from the point where you want to run. Okay. So I am running from line number 7. If I run this, you see it will run A equal to 5 and it's giving me the value of the variable as 5. See here, it's printing the value. Now it does not know whether this value is a integer or a string. It doesn't know. Fridge. So it doesn't know what it is, right? But it prints the value. Now, in standard coding practice, we put dim A. That is, we are declaring the value of A. That is how in the standard practice we put. Guys, you are able to understand this. Now I'm putting dim A, value of A equal to 5. And I'm going to print the value of A. So when I put the message box, it printed me the value of A. What does this mean? What does this mean? Okay. Now what does this mean? Here I am declaring the value of A. I am assigning A is equal to 5. So this variable I am saying it should contain the value of 5. That's how I do. Now now I want to print it. So this is going to print whatever I want to, or I want to see the output. So I'll say message box of. Here what we did in the message box, we put a quote. Now when I put a quote, it turns, you see the color changes here. What does this mean? It means that it's considering as a string and it will print whatever it is here. Okay. Now I'm talking about, you would have heard me talking string, integer. These are all we are going to learn. We are going to learn all what is this. Okay. Now when I print this value, so I want to print this variable directly. Whenever I want to print a variable without any output, right? Without anything that I wanted to type, I'll just put message box, MSG box, space, just consider that as a space, and then what I will do, I will put the variable here, whatever variable you want to print. So automatically what it will do, message box function will take this variable, it will go check what is the variable assigned to. Variable is assigned as 5. So it will print you, give you an output with OK here and the value 5. That's what we saw here.
dim is just declaring a value of a, right?
Yes.
Okay, so does dim has any, like, is it a full form like that? This int has integer, so is dim
No,
is called something?
that's how the function called in VB script.
Oh, okay. So there is no particular name to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. INT, there is no full form for INT.
You said integer.
Integer, dim is declaration.
Okay.
INT is for integer. It is not I is something, D, N is something, and T is something.
Okay.
In order to convert to an integer, we use the function INT.
Okay.
Okay.
Rajesh, suppose if we give a is equal to 5 and then after the next line if we give a equal to 7, will that take only the 7 or?
That's what I'm going to do now. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we are going to see the why we call this a variable, right? So I'm going to say a equal to 10, and I'm going to print message box a. Now what will happen? I'm going to run from here. I'm going to say you see, first it printed value of 5 because a value was declared as 5. Next it's printing 10 because the a value is redeclared as 10. So the value of 5 is now no more there. It's only a is going to be 10 going forward. That is why we call this a variable. It can take, the left side is constant. The right side can change. That's why we call it a variable. Okay, so that is what is variable. Now to read more about, if you want to read more about variable, www.capture.us, go to the site, automation, tools, QTP, VBScript, variables. Click on this. You will see all about variables. Do you see here? The variables. These are how do you declare the variables here. We have spoken about what all these variables, what is dim here, kind of a procedure. So these are examples of what is a dim, what is a public variable, what is a private variable. This is more about VB scripting, right? We are not going to write a public variable, a private variable. Public variable means that you can use it outside your script, while a private variable is within your script, right? Now we are not going to write VB scripting. Since I'm talking about VB script here as a concept, right? Since I'm talking about VB script, I wrote all these things. But understand, you can read it, understand what it is. Okay. What we are going to see is, this is all about variable. So we will be working with variable from day one of your job career. You will be working with variables a lot. Now, if you see here, I am saying a equal to 10. So what am I doing here? I am providing the value of the variable, right? I am giving the value of the variable. Now, if I wanted to give the value dynamically, that is, I want to make in a point where QTP should ask me, or VBScript should ask me, give me the value. So what should I do? I should have a box, a place where I can provide this value. So for that, how do you do? I have another function called input box in bracket. You don't need to put a bracket there initially. Okay. Now in quotes say enter a number. Now I'm going to just run this. I'm going to just run this and I'm going to show you. What will happen is it will give me a pop-up window with an edit box that I can put the value. You see here, it's giving me an input box where I can put the value. So this input box, right? This input box created this box. Now here I type the label saying enter the name, enter a number. So that comes here. This is what is called title. I have not given the title. comma, in double quotes, whatever you give will automatically become the title. Let's do that. Now I'm going to stop the script. Cancel. Okay. Now, the advantage of using QTP is this. It will prompt you what are the function information. So if I say input box space, you see here, it's giving me the details. That is, first what I type is the prompt. Prompt is what comes up, like enter the name that we typed inside the box. The second is title. Now title is the top portion which I showed you, the title. Third is default value. In the text box you saw that there is no value there. Say example, I'm going to put enter a number. So that's going to be my prompt. The moment I close and put a comma, you see the next one gets highlighted. Can you see here the next one got bolted here? That is to enter the title. I will say adding 2 number. I'm going to add 2 numbers. Comma, enter. Now it is saying default value. Usually we don't give a default value. Default value is that you can provide a value inside the box itself. I say example, I want to put a default value as 0. Okay. Let's run this and see what happens. You see, enter a number is come here. That's the prompt. The title adding 2 numbers, you see the title, and the default value, you see here, the default value is 0. So even if I give 5, it will keep the default value as 5. If you click OK, it will take the value as 5. Usually we don't specify a default value. Okay. Now, I need to take this value that I'm entering here into a variable. Right? In order, say if I wanted to, here I want to add 2 numbers. Add 2 numbers. So I wanted to say A plus B. That's what I want to add. C equal to, I'll say C equal to A plus B. This is what I want to do. So I want to take the value of A from the input box and the value of B from the input box. So now this created an input box. How do I take it and put it into A? Can anyone help me out to do that? How do I take this value of what I get in the input box and put it into A? Anyone?
Number A equals to whatever the number.
Perfect. A equal to this one. So now when I put like this, I have to put this in bracket. That's the only difference. Now what will happen? If I put MSG box A, it will print me whatever value that I enter inside A. Now it's asking me what is the value. I'm putting, say, example 67. It's printing me 67. You see, I got it into my script. Okay. Got that, guys?
Can you just explain this? Enter a number, adding 2 numbers, and then initially you had a 0, right? For it to start with a 0.
That the reason is that if I run this now, let's let me put a breakpoint. I'll talk to you about breakpoints later, but not now. Okay. Now, if I start, you see, now I'm going to run this. Got it. Okay. You see here, there's no value here, right? Empty value. If I put a value here, say example 5 as default value, and you want to give 67, you have to select it, then clear it out, and then put the value.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. I just left it empty. So anyway, you're going to enter a value, right?
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay.
Input box, I am taking the value. Right?
Yeah.
You understood this?
Yeah. This time you understood. Yeah.
Now when what I did, I need to take it into my script, right? So if I have to take it into a script, I have to put it into a variable.
Okay.
Unless I put it into a variable, I cannot take it into my script and print it here.
Okay.
Right? So what I did, whatever I get here, I'm saying that this should be assigned into this variable.
Okay.
Now, once it gets assigned into this variable, anywhere I print the value of A, I'll get whatever I printed here.
We'll get that. Yeah. Okay.
Getting me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Here, so I got the value of A. Now, can someone help me out to get the value of B? Anyone?
Then again, we have to give a variable. We have to do the same step once again.
Yeah, tell me.
Equal to
B equal to
input box,
input box of
open brackets.
enter a number.
The font, enter
Same.
the number. Yeah.
Same, right? So I'll copy paste it.
Okay.
Now, I want to add these two numbers. So I will say message box A plus B. Now I should get the output, right? Let's see whether we get the output. Now run from this step. I'm saying say 45 and 55. Now it's giving me 45, 55. Is this the answer? 4555. That's not the answer, right? So is it that what did we do? What did we do wrong in this code? Any idea?
Add two numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to give the value.
No, what we did here is, when I was talking about variable, when we said in Java, we declare and say what this value, what this variable should contain.
Yeah.
Right? If it's an integer, we say int of A, so that the code knows that whatever value you are taking will be an integer.
Okay.
But here we don't have that concept of declaring that variable. Right? So how do you know, how does this know that this is going to be an integer value? Right? Unless it knows it's an integer, it cannot calculate, correct? Correct?
So are you saying that we have to put a number instead of enter a number
Fair.
here on the open bracket?
Here you want to put a number.
I don't know.
No, no. Whatever you are getting here, this variable does not know what it is.
Okay.
Okay. So we should know another concept called data types. Let's learn another concept called data types here. Now, what is data type? Now, data type again is a variant. Okay. There are multiple data types available in QTP or in VBScript. Let's talk about that. So here, everything in VBScript is a variant. Okay. So now, how do we declare a variant? Right? We have integer for numbers. String for sentences or paragraphs, right? And what are the other variant data types that we have declared here? If you see my script, you have integer script, you have integer. This is what we are going to use a lot for numbers, right? You see here, let me see. Integer for numbers, this is what we are going to use a lot. Then we use string. We use string a lot. These are the two main data types that we will be using a lot. We are not going to use Boolean. Boolean we use a loop, if loop or condition to find out whether the factor is right or wrong. Okay. So the main two data types that we will be working with in our day-to-day career is integer and string. Okay. Now you need not declare a string, because anything that, say if you say A equal to 5 is automatically a string only. But you have to declare it as an integer if you want it as an integer. So you will say A equal to int of 5 if you want this to be an integer. Otherwise, automatically it will consider as a string.
Oh, see, I understand. See, if you put integer 5, it makes, it will count 5 as an integer.
Yes.
But if you put string, what happens?
You don't need to declare a string. So all you need to say A equal to, in quotes, say, my name is Rajesh. Now when you put it in quotes, it automatically takes it as a string only.
Oh.
You getting me?
So string is a paragraph. So whatever you type,
Whatever your statement that you type will become a string.
string.
So now I have to convert this variable or convert whatever I am getting here into an integer. So what I will do in front of this input box, I will say int of now if you run this, it knows that the value that has been assigned to the variable is an integer. Now let's run this. I'm going to give the same values. 45, 55. Getting 100? So unless you declare that, it will not know it's an integer.
Put the integer, it will think this as a string.
It's considering this as a string.
String, okay.
Right? Because it's coming from a text box, it will take it as a string. So what it's doing, it's not able to add to, you can't add my name is and Rajesh 2 strings, you cannot add those 2 strings, right?
Yeah. That's because it's a paragraph.
It's a paragraph. So what happens here is, when I say, let me clean this up, when I say my name is and Rajesh, this is the 2 strings. You cannot sum these 2 strings. All you can do is, you can make it my name is Rajesh. You can join these 2 strings, correct? And make it into a single string.
Yeah.
That's what A equal to 45 and B equal to 55, and the output it showed 4555. That's what it did.
Okay.
You're getting me? You saw 4555, right? It did not sum these 2. It took this and put it together.
Together, yeah. Without, yeah.
Now you
Without
understood.
doing yeah.
So it considered this like this. My name is and Rajesh. It has 45 and 55, and then it put it as my name is Rajesh. That's all.
Together, okay.
You getting me?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
better.
So we didn't use the C, right? C equal to A plus B. That's
We
what
don't need that. I just avoided that step. Instead of doing that, I can even put nothing wrong. I can put like this. Instead of putting like the C equal to A plus B, and then putting value of C here.
You have one
I just put the code here. That's all.
Okay. So is it possible to do it here like message box C equal to A plus B? Can we do like that? No, won't work.
It won't work like that.
Okay.
It'll get confused. What is C now?
Okay.
And what is that equal to sign? It will not understand.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you want to print, say example, you want to print a message, the total value of C is, you want to print like that. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
So how do I do that? Let's see. Now, this is there. Now, I want to print the total value of C is, and I want the value there, right? So it's nothing. I'm going to keep the same code. In the message box, MSG box. Now, when I wanted to print a string, how did I print a string here?
Just put it in within brackets, within quotes.
Within quotes, right? So I'll say the value, the total value.
Okay.
Total
value of C.
Of C is closed it. Now I want to print A plus B, right?
Right.
A plus B.
Okay.
Let's see whether it works.
Right.
Let's see whether it works. And then I will explain why it is not working. Okay. It's saying an error message. What is the error message it's saying? Expected end of statement, And where is the error?
Line 1.
Where we put
Oh, the line message box.
message box. Why? The reason is that it came to this line. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, there are two things that happen. First, what it will do, it will compile the whole code
Mm-hmm.
for errors, and then it will run. So when it compiled, it saw this error, so it's giving you that message.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it came to compiling this, it saw message box, yes, perfectly fine. Then you are printing this, perfect. Now, what is this now? It's not able to understand what is this, because you have said open quotes and close quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Then what is this extra line that you have given? It is not able to understand. So for this, we are going to learn a new concept called concatenation.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we'll talk about this and I'll come back. Concatenation is, what do you mean by concatenation? Anyone can tell me what do you mean by concatenation? Any guess? Yeah.
Just adding two strings, like that's why it read it as 4555. So basically, it's
Yes.
everything.
That is what is not adding. It is combining two strings. That's what is concatenation. So example, if I wanted to, let's go back to our writing board. If I wanted to combine these two strings, that is my name is and Rajesh, I want to combine these two strings. The symbol used for concatenation is and.
It's not.
And it's, if you use it, plus also works if it's a string, but unfortunately if you have an integer in between, it will get confused. If it's only string, you can put a plus. It works. Right. Now if I have, say, the total value is, now I wanted to put a plus here, then A plus B, it will get confused. So at this point I use a AND. So this will consider as one string, this will consider as another string. And now, since though it's considering as a string, it will come and see A. A is already declared as int, right? So it knows this is an integer. B is also declared as int. So it knows it's an integer. So it will sum up these two, and what it will do, when it prints, it will say the total value is, and the total here. You getting me, Karthik?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's concatenate two strings and then we will find this value. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to concatenate two strings. So I will say MSG, first I'll comment of this, otherwise compilation it will keep failing. MSG box yes, this is string 1. Now I want to concatenate another string. So I'll say and Rajesh. Now when I run this code, it should print me as a single statement, not as two statements. You see, my name is Rajesh. It prints me as a single string. So now coming here, how do I print this? This is what we wanted to print, right? So I will say, remove this, and I'll put a concatenation, that is and symbol after this. Now if I run this, it will work perfectly fine. Value of A as 45. I'll say 65. Total is 110. That's this message box. Now it's saying print the total value of C is 110.
Yeah, Rajesh, got it.